The Organic Act is the legislation that creates the National Park Service and says that the purpose of the national parks is to preserve and protect the natural treasures. It uses the term wildlife and all of the cultural treasures therein for the enjoyment of future generations. That is our mission. It's the thing that we do. It's the thing we come back to every day in our work. It's the mission that drives us every day.
I always knew that I wanted to work in natural areas. I just didn't know how to do it. And then I discovered the Park Service with a trip out west with my grandparents when I was 14, and I just fell in love. But how to get here was tough. But the mission of the Park Service is really in sync with, my values and what I'm interested in. I find it more and more rewarding, the outreach component of my job. That's taking over more than the science, and that's originally what I got into this for, was the science. And that's spilled over to the educational realm, and connecting with this community and then with their future, which is the children.
As we're monitoring these sites, we're moving back and forth through the trees, through the forest, and we are looking for the most beautiful possible place to have lunch. And so we have half an hour in the middle of that to sit down and enjoy some magnificent waterfall that's not even on the map, or sit underneath an enormous tree that you're just humbled by. Those are the things that I remember at the end of the week looking back.
There are really two things that drive me to do this type of work. One is that it's an incredibly beautiful, awesome place to work. I'm a very lucky person that I get to work in some of the most beautiful places on earth. So that's a driver right there. The other driver from an intellectual standpoint is there is a huge diversity of life on earth. And all of these organisms have figured out, as a particular species, a way of making a living. And each one does it somewhat differently. That's a pretty cool thing.
I've always been attracted to work, sort of actionable science, I call it, or applied research, where you can actually take something that's new, it's not production mode, and apply it in a way that can be used by managers. I've always gotten a great deal of satisfaction out of that. And I think what we're doing here is that we're actually trying to predict in the future what they're going to see in terms of landslides and floods, so that they can allow people to continue to enjoy Mount Rainier National Park. And I get a great deal of satisfaction where my work can actually literally be applied to something that you can see on the ground and actually gives some people enjoyment. Though it's also giving them some headaches too, I imagine.
I have to admit, when I'm out on the glacier and we're carrying all the gear and we're at high elevation and you're working really hard, I definitely ask myself whether I really want to be doing this. But you look at the scenery, and there's really no other place that I would rather be at that moment. And I particularly have that feeling when I remember the scene that I saw when I'm back and I'm not carrying that gear. But the memories that I have when I'm actually out there, something I would never give up.
This job is the best combination of science and public service that I could think of, because it has an element of research. I get to explore new methods and collect new data, and I get to participate in an activity that is of a benefit not only to the folks in this park, but to the Park Service and to the nation as a whole.
And when I come out here, to me, this is the greatest imaginable paradise. I look at this and I'm just in a form of heaven. Even the most urban dweller, the most citified person, when they come out here and they see this blue sky and they smell these flowers and they just look at this spectacular scenery, they just have a great moment of self-realization. It's something deep wired into humans to appreciate that.